Some enemies in Genshin Impact are much more rare than any other enemy, like these Geovishap Hatchlings. These are little hedgehog guys, and they drop one of the most important crafting materials in the game. If you're looking to ascend your weapons to the highest levels, there's a good chance at least one of them needs Fragile, Sturdy Bone, or the upgraded purple version. Now, finding these is not an easy task, so I wanted to go over not only finding these bad boys, but multiple other rare enemies in the game that you're going to need to fight if you want to ascend all of your weapons, all of your characters, all of your talents, and everything to make you as OP as humanly possible. Now, before I get into the video, I want to recommend if you guys find a location for a rare monster, you see a bunch of them spawn there, make sure to note it in the comment section below. That way I can make a future video and update things as we go, and maybe you can save someone's grinding life because you saved them a bunch of time. Hey everyone, MTash here, and today I wanted to talk about farming rare monsters. If your weapon is in the level 40, 50, or even to the 60 and 70 range, you're going to start getting rarer and rarer materials required that are going to take some specific farming. Now, most of these you're going to get through playing, and your first few ascensions will probably happen pretty naturally. But after a certain point, it starts getting much more expensive if you want to ascend your weapons, and also requires a lot more effort. Now, I'm sure many of you know this already, but if you go into your guidebook, you can go and find all the different bosses. And as you level up in world tiers, many of these bosses will spawn in at higher levels and give better rewards. If you're looking at the drops, a basic mage will drop the green, a level 40 plus will drop the blue, and if you're getting to level 60 plus, you're going to get the nice crispy purples. Now, there are multiple of these enemies that can spawn in around the map. They've got some areas they like to go to, and I'm going to show you an area that's very plentiful with rare mobs like this. But you can also track them from your little guidebook. Now, there's a finite amount of navigated, guided enemies that you can find. So if you're looking to farm these elite enemies to get upgrade materials for your weapons, you can go to your guidebook and you can actually navigate directly to them. Now, there's a finite amount of them that you can find using this method, and I recommend you do this every day because it resets once a day. It will take you 5 to 10 minutes, maybe 20 minutes to do all of these, but these are materials you are desperately going to need later on. Another tip for this is many of the enemies can spawn in very similar areas, so once you teleport to an area, try tracking each of them, get an idea of where they are, and you can kind of just run from monster to monster to monster without a whole bunch of loading and teleporting. I don't know if that matters too much for people because it is relatively quick, but it might save you, 5 minutes, even 6 minutes off of a run when you're going and you're farming all of these back to back to back to back. Also, something I should mention is the enemies that spawn are in different areas, and they have almost like a region level, if you will. In some of the beginner areas, they might be level 38, where if you're spawning in some of the endgame areas, they might be 40 or 45 or even 49. And so some of the drops in some regions will be worse, but it's still better than nothing. Alternate between the enemies just to make sure that there's none directly beside you that you're missing, and eventually you're going to run out of them. They're not going to spawn anymore in this fashion. This is the navigated, directed content, but there are other enemies like this that can spawn around the map, so if you find them, kill them, that's great. They'll still drop the same stuff, but these are just kind of give-me's or hand-me-outs that the game is giving you so that you can track them and make some progression. Now, let's talk about the best area in the game that I know of for absolutely ludicrous farming. Alright, this is going to be one of the bigger tips that I've given in Genshin Impact because this has saved me a ton of time when trying to ascend my weapons. I was kind of roadblocked because many of the enemies I couldn't find enough of. I couldn't find them in a plentiful enough to farm them efficiently and get these ascensions. So, between the Dunya Ruins, the Takwin Valley, and the Kuju Slope, there are a ton of upgrade materials. There are Ruin Sentinels, there are the Hedgehog guys, there is the agents, the little ninja guys who drop these sacrificial knives. There are... Let me just show you the footage. Why am I even talking? But this is the location. I've marked it on the map. I've got a little star. There's teleports all over. One of the easiest routes is just to start here on the top of the mountain here and make your way through the ruins. You can drop down into all of them, but just make your way through up into the ruins here and all around the hillside. because the hedgehog guys can kind of spawn anywhere in the hillside. There is more hedgehogs in this one spot than anywhere else in the game. Then you can push towards the kind of Kuju slope. There's a ton of different agents and enemies in this region. Let's take a peek. So I ended up finding one. These are some elusive little buggers, and their sturdy bone is one of the biggest sought after items because there's not a lot of spawns for these. Now, from what I've seen, they are very generous with the drops. Like, more generous than many of the other ones. It seems like they give you a lot of different shards. I think that is because they're so rare. But in this valley and anywhere around it, there are a bunch of spawns. But also, there's these little assassin guys. I don't know what to call them. I'm not going to look it up even. I'm too lazy. But there's assassins. There's tons of different enemies in this region that are relatively rare compared to other areas in the game. So make sure you make your way through here and farm them because you're going to need their materials for Ascension later on. You can also see there's a mage that spawns here. So I don't know what it is about this little area, but there's a ton of rare monsters in this region. The other thing too is in this region, they're typically high enough level that you're going to get the best drops available in your world tier. Sometimes if you're roaming around in some of the other areas, they're actually lower level and they can't drop the blues. And so every blue is essentially 3 greens, right? So this is really, really good. Also, did a little hedgehog just spawn in? I'm going to look. Look at this. There's ruin guards, ruin hunters. There's another one down there. Like, they're all over the place. This place is infested. So, you know, this is probably the most efficient way to farm these materials in the game right now. But then maybe there's some other locations that are available that I don't know about. But right now, this has been the saving grace for Ascension. Oh my god, the damage. Holy cow. Maybe you guys should watch my video where I talk about how to get almost 10 times the amount of damage that you used to do. Because I know a way. And I want you to watch that video. So another thing, and I know this is pretty obvious, but I want to point it out because some people kind of get roadblocks here when they don't know what they're doing. There's always going to be, you know, some basic materials from basic enemies, so kill anything you see. Honestly, kill anything you see. But there are going to be materials that require some farming, and they're going to require you to use your resin. Now, it actually will say where you can get them from. So Domain of Mastery or Domain of Mastery on Sunday. You can get Wednesday and Saturday. There's different domains that will swap out and they'll give you different rewards. Easiest way to look at what is available is by going to your domains and clicking what you need. There are going to be weapon ascension materials. There's going to be artifacts you can farm. There's going to be down here talent level up materials. And it's going to be different ones each time. So make sure you're picking the domain that has the item that you need so that you're not farming some random domain that's not going to get you what you want. So if you look at these materials, you know, some of these are for bows. Some of them are for swords or claymores. And they don't all use the same ones. So I would focus, you know, in my other video, I talk about building a character and building for the most damage possible. In my case, Fischl is my strongest character, bar none. And so when I'm ascending things, I'm going to be hunting down for these things first, right? I've got the arrowheads right here. I'm going to be fighting, you know, the electric boss here. When I'm doing my talents, I'm trying to save up and max these out as best I can. And it requires these. So, you know, it's going to take a lot of farming. And if you're spreading yourself too thin on all the characters, you literally don't have enough resin to keep up. So if you look at the map here, I've got 30 out of 120. This is going to replenish over time. You can also use Primo Gems and you can use the Fragile Resin. But I would focus on using this resin on the characters that actually need it. Now, I think most people understand this, but the bosses also require resin. And they're like the only main way to get the materials needed to ascend. So if you don't know this by now, we're in trouble. But I guess I figured I'd throw it into the video. If you're looking for crafting materials to ascend your character to the next ascension, it's from these bosses. There's one of every element, or it's a plant boss. So there's a fire one, there's a cryo one, and then we got a whole bunch of boxes. And they all have slightly different mechanics and stuff, but that's it. So make sure you're farming these. Make sure you're timing these out and farming them. Then what I want you to do is I want you to go to this location right here on the map. Boop. And go all throughout these ruins. Kind of this loop right here. Anything in there is going to be valuable. You can start here and kind of make your way up. There's going to be tons of elite level or elite type enemies for you to farm those materials for weapons. And then you can start doing all your domains and doing whatever you need to level up your skills. Okay, sound good? You're going to be set. You're going to be level 70 before you know you're going to be cracked. You're going to be doing 200,000% damage. All right, that's it. Talk to you soon.